entrepreneurs, and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are at the Mediterranean Cuisine, Genghis Khan Restaurant, 3114 West Beta Bay. If you're in the area, MacDill and Beta Bay, come and check it out and tell them that Edge sent you. We're here filming every week to bring great stories to you from business owners and leaders in our community to promote and highlight their businesses, but also to personalize them and to hear their story and to learn from them. We can learn so much from each other's journey. I'm a firm believer of that. So definitely make sure you're checking us out on Thursday nights right here. You're joining us on our Facebook page, and we're also on WeBeam TV. We're very excited to have our partners at WeBeam, and they're really great over there. If you're looking for a podcast or actually a visual podcast, there's so much more than a podcast. Check out WeBeamTV.com and find out more information about having your own show, just like Getting the Edge. Getting the Edge is a product of Edge Business Magazine. We're so excited about our latest issue of Edge Business Magazine. We initially started publishing in 2015, so we're really excited about the new one featuring Dr. Louis Crespo of Crespo & Associates. If you have not yet, please go to edgebusinessmagazine.com and subscribe today and never miss an issue. So really excited about our new issue, and really excited about our guest today, Terri Hall. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Kelly.
Terri is the president of Doubletake Marketing and is one of the contributing writers in the magazine, and so definitely want to check out that article as well. And talks a lot about this article, and it was about social media and just how to utilize it, and how it's more than just pictures back and forth, and you can really utilize it for your business. So definitely check out that article. Terri, congratulations, because first of all, she's been in the marketing, advertising, PR business for over 20 years now, and yes. Wow.
Thank you. This is our 20th year, and we're very excited. So we're excited to do new things and forge ahead.
Right. No, congratulations. You know, one of the things that we talk a lot about on the show, and that other leaders and business owners are talking about, is really just how adaptable to change you have to be, and really changing with the current trends. And I can only imagine how much things have changed in the advertising PR world in the last 20 years.
Oh, absolutely, Kelly. It's been quite a roller coaster ride, because you really do have to go with the flow and the trends that are out there, or else you're going to quickly become dated and become a dinosaur. When we first started, I hate to say it, but we were, just on the brink of desktop publishing,
right.
and eked from that. And really, we were heavy on the graphic side. And as time has progressed, as things have become more content-driven, as social media has come about, we have moved and morphed more away from the graphics, even though we still have that, and we have a very strong graphic team. We've morphed into more of the content part of the
Now you
business.
are really, Doubletake is a full service marketing and advertising agency. So you mentioned graphics. So tell us about some of the other features and services
that we have.
Right.
Yeah, well, what we do is we kind of put the marketing, social media, and PR together. And on several of our clients that we've had for a long time, one of our clients we've had for 18 years now,
oh, wow.
pretty much since we started. And we started out with them in the graphic arena, but what's happened is we still continue to do their graphics, but we've been building out in their public relations and getting them, hoping to, even though they're a national company, we're trying to start local and start building that locally, because the business is 50 years old, yet no one knows who our client is, because they've always private labeled for others.
Right.
We might know their national brands that they've private labeled for, so our job now is to start getting them ingrained more in the community, and we're doing a lot of that through trying to do public-private partnerships with some of the townships and cities that they're in. And in addition to that, working on their social media and other things that we can do to get them known throughout the community too.
One of the things that I found impressive with your organization is not the fact that, yes, you do graphics, yes, you handle social media, you can pretty much maintain and do creative content, but you come up with some dynamic campaigns that are really clever. And I don't know, and I'm a movie buff. Like when I watch some old time movies, and you see the the team sitting around and coming up with their marketing strategies, and then they go and they deliver their presentation. And I visualize that when I think of you and your team, because you really come up with some clever ideas. I don't know, 13 Going on 30 is kind of one of my favorite girly movies probably, but have you ever seen that?
Yes.
And then so she's sitting there, Jennifer Garner I believe is in that one, but then and they're working all night with her team on the presentation, and then they go to deliver it, and they do the anyway. It's a lot of fun. It's really clever,
and we have some really great people on our team too, and they all bring different areas of expertise to the table, which makes it nice. So it makes it a lot of fun. So we have an age range too. We have someone who came out of retirement to come back and work with us as a mentor, and we also have people that are younger that also have training in writing and in content creation in addition to public relations. So it's kind of a nice little blend in addition to our guy who's been with us for 18 years doing graphics.
Right.
So
wow. Well, I think that says something too about you and you as a leader for the organization, being able to retain the clients and your staff for that many years. That's amazing. So congratulations. But
thanks.
I think it's really, I like it. It works and really well because of, I think, the variety of people that you have involved. You have the 20 years experience and just a lot of history and wisdom in regards to marketing advertising, but then you bring in this team to kind of complement current time with it. It blends really well.
Well, it's one of those things too where a lot of times they'll just look at things differently, and sometimes you don't want to get so stale that you're constantly always doing something the same way. So it's really nice to have someone else that might bring a fresh approach to the same kind of situation.
Different
perspectives. That's a lot of fun.
Well, I think sometimes we are kind of set in the way that we look at things, and I think it's probably an age thing too. But the younger minds kind of look at things a little different than we do.
I know. I try not to think that way because, really, I've always felt like, I've had 20-somethings work for me in the past that acted like old. They thought old. And I've had people that were older that thought young. So in a way, it might be age-related, but not. Because you have to be willing to learn. So if you're willing to learn, I think you can keep your mind fresh and young, and I think that's helpful when you're trying to work with clients and see what's going to really benefit them. So hopefully we stay young in thought.
Well, and I think with you adapting to change and current trends, and with I don't think you'll have a problem with that. I think that's why you've been so successful thus far. So
yeah. So hopefully it stays that way.
When you look at I get here objections often with print and people talking about print being not relevant in the advertising and promotional world these days, and I disagree. I think print is still very valuable. We have a digital version, but I will always still print.
I still like to touch something.
Absolutely.
It's like so nice to touch something, as opposed to, I don't know, I prefer having something in my hands like that.
No, and I agree, and I think, even when you look at the millennial age of their view of technology, I don't think that they could argue that something to hold would be just even more valuable than something digital. But when you look back and you think of traditional marketing, like how has things changed so much, or what are some of the biggest challenges you've seen in staying current with, or utilizing both? Because they're both still important.
When we first started, we were Doubletake Studios, and since that, we've kind of rebranded ourselves, because when we were a studio, we were like a graphic design studio. There was a lot of confusion. Sometimes people thought we were a photography studio when we weren't, and we were doing a lot of things that were all print related, and some of our accounts were completely centered around print, and then some of the things branched out from there. So I have seen a trend with less paper. Doesn't mean it's gone away, it's just changed.
Right.
And we've had to go with the flow on that, because if we still were saying, oh, we're only specializing in printing, we're going to be a little bit dated at this point. So we have to go and get in the digital age, and we needed to do that just when everybody else was too. And we have an affinity. We still do annual reports for clients. We still do print stuff that, in addition to digital, as you say. But there's something about holding that piece of paper, and that might be an age-related thing. I don't know, but I think it's not gone forever. But I do think there's been a change.
Right. Well, and as many of the millennials that I've been around, I kind of surveyed. Many of them have said they do see the added value in actually having something something that is a keepsake
Right.
versus, because, you know, there's a different, okay, back years ago too, when we took all of our pictures and we had to have them developed, right? Many may not know about those days, but there was a time when you took film and you had it developed. But, you know, I still have all those pictures, and those mean something. They're all in a big tub, and, you know, you had scrapbooks and you filed them. But today, you know, I have a ton of photos. In fact, I'm really bad with my grandchildren, and they're all on my phone. Like, I don't have the pictures all over my house anymore.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Are
just,
you like one of those people that don't like to take them off your phone either? I'm like that.
Right.
'Cause like I hoard the pictures.
Right. Well, and then I don't think my phone's backing up lately to the cloud. So it's like I have to be really careful I don't lose the photos. I've got to figure, but they're all just stored into our devices.
Yeah.
And we don't have them just all over our homes anymore like we would when we'd go and to Sears and print out, you know, our 8x10 photographs.
Although I have made some of those Flutterby books or Flutterstock or whatever they are, where you actually have a book in your hand again when you can kind of go through them. We've done that a couple times when we had a special vacation or something. We'd just have a landmark.
I love that. And maybe, you know, people, you don't know, you can't miss what you don't know, right? So this newer generation that never knew that, how they can't miss that then if they never knew it. So maybe that's a misconception then on my end, thinking that there's some value having that.
Yeah, we all still like to share images and stuff like that though, and look at them and reminisce and have memories. So it's always fun to do that no matter what. It
is. Wow, you know, time has changed. And you look back even over 20 years, I mean, we didn't have the internet even yet, really. I mean, what was it, like early 90s when?
Early 90s, yeah.
Okay, so just about over 20 years now.
Yeah, because prior to that, I first started out with the whole drafting tables and T-squares and stuff like that. So definitely when I can remember, I don't know if anybody else remembers this, the first time you ever touch a mouse, it's kind of like, wow, how does anybody really make that thing work? So it's definitely evolved from that, thank goodness. But yeah, it was kind of weird to make that leap. And some people I think today now that were in traditional print and stuff, people now don't realize, you know, what all those layers meant really, because they really were physical layers when you burned plates and burned different imagery onto the plate to make the press work. You know, it's different because digital printing has completely changed that.
Right. I don't have experience in that phase of the graphic world. I can only imagine how intense. And I've talked to photographers and different people over the years, just, you know, how much time has changed. And their business, their entire industries have completely evolved. But we're going to talk a lot more with Terri Hall. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am joined by the lovely guest, Terri Hall, president of Doubletake Marketing. So thank you again for being here with me today.
Thank you, Kelly.
I appreciate it. Again, just want to remind everyone to go and check out our Edge website and make sure you subscribe to Edge Business Magazine. We want to make sure that you never miss a copy. Distribution will begin this week in the Tampa Bay area. So look out. We'll be making some announcements soon as well on where you can stop by and pick up a copy. But just in case, you can subscribe. That way you won't have to search for one. You'll find one at your in your mailbox. But really excited again to be here. You know, I have a lot, being advertising and marketing oriented media. I have, always enjoyed talking with you because it's kind of great just to elaborate and get your pick your brain a little bit on what your thoughts are with the marketing and trends and where we're going.
And commiserate. No,
yeah, right. When you look at billboards, and you drive down 275 especially, you see them all over. So obviously, there's a difference, and I try to talk about this too. There's a difference between branding and really marketing, and kind of branding to have to be seen and visual and to make sure that you're building the brand, but also depends on what your goals are. So let's talk about billboards a little bit. Obviously, those are still significant. People are still spending a lot of money on those.
I love billboards.
Right.
There's something about those. They're just so cool,
right?
Yeah.
Like as people pass.
Right.
So I mean, obviously, they're to build a brand and to be looked at as authoritative. Like if I'm on this billboard, it's an authority.
Well, and it depends on what your goals are for that billboard. Is it to be directional and say, hey, straight ahead on the right, have some kind of messaging, but the standard rule of thumb for design on a billboard is no more than 7 to 11 words. And really, if you think about it, the national brands that you always see on those, they're never wordy. It just kills me when sometimes I see these billboards that'll be plastered with all these addresses and phone numbers that, if you think about somebody cruising by at 50 miles an hour, there's no way they're going to do that. And most people don't even write down phone numbers anymore. They either look for the website. We're also data driven. We'll go to the website and look all that stuff up, and anymore. Right. I don't see people picking up the phone as much as they may have before. Right. A lot of times we'll look it up online first.
Or we won't worry so much about capturing a number because we know we can find that through the contact information on the website. Right. So it's not as important as make sure we kind of look for names or something, some kind of, I guess, or we wait till we drive by again.
Right, exactly.
Like, sometimes it catches your eye too late, or sometimes, you're just, anyway. But
well, yeah, and plus now that they've made the digital ones too, so you can almost make the appearance that you can rotate those out, so you.
What
can
a way to
like
make more money!
It is. It's a great way to make more money, but it's also a way to put your area so you're not static in one position. You can pay for a certain fee and then have it rotate throughout 3 locations and pick those in zones. So that's kind of a cool
and it
way
makes for more interesting drive as well. Sometimes as you're sitting there, especially a few times, as if I'm heading north on Del Mabry at all, and heading from south, heading north, and I tell you, there are some of those digital billboards and it's interesting, at least when you're stuck in traffic, it gives you something to do as the billboards change, and then the traffic will start to move and you're like, no, but wait, it's going to change. I want to see what's next. Anyway.
Well, and they kind of have a captive market too, because they're limited by how many of them can be out there. The reason we don't have them plastered everywhere is because Lady Bird Johnson passed that law many, many years ago, so that to keep America beautiful, so that we aren't plastered with them from one end to the other. So
interesting.
I know whenever they expanded the crosstown, they took one down to make the expansion, and we're able to negotiate one location on the crosstown. So that's why you only see one billboard on the crosstown.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so they're kind of regulated. So that's why they're kind of in demand, because there's only a limited number of them.
I didn't know that. So the space that's there is pretty much the space that's already allotted then. So there will not be any new locations
unless another one gets taken down for some construction and they negotiate a place for it to be. So I know that, you know, that's why, like, you might go to other countries and they're everywhere, you know, and you'll see them, you know, they're just congested.
It's a beautification thing, I guess.
Yes,
you know,
it really is.
And really, you don't want, now that you think about it, you wouldn't want them absolutely everywhere.
Right.
It is kind of nice to be able to look out and see some green, you know, or the buildings in the distance,
or the city, or people, or whatever. But yeah, there's something about those. They're the coolest. I don't know. It's fun to see one go from a design on a computer to actually out there on the street. It's really neat to see it go from an idea to a final piece.
I can imagine too the digital perspective of it allows maybe businesses that wouldn't ordinarily be able to pay a 10 grand a month or whatever it is. I'm not sure what the fees are for them. I know they're quite extensive, but it would allow them to be able. I'm sure they're less when it's a rotation type on the digital.
Right.
So it would allow maybe some businesses that wouldn't normally be able to.
They are, but you know, if you notice, like especially those digitized ones, those are usually in pretty populated areas, so they can get more mileage, more money still.
Gotcha.
But still, that's what you want, is exposure, you know. But there are some other options out there. There are some of the smaller metro boards, and there are other poster boards. There are smaller ones that are more static, that are a little bit on the outskirts. So if you just sort of wanted to have some kind of a presence, you can do that at an more affordable price.
Right. In my real estate world, I actually was very successful with the metro benches. And,
I bet.
I mean, except for the weird phone calls that I did occasionally get in the middle of the night, you know, from just weird people. But overall, you know, and I never really placed those, and I had a few of them. Back then, I predominantly worked real estate in the Carrollwood area, but I had a few of them positioned around the areas that I worked a lot. And I never really thought I would use them for business, selling, you know, buying and selling homes. I just thought it would build me as an agent.
Right.
But I actually had people that would call and say, "Oh, you look really nice. Will you sell my house?"
Yeah, that's
and
great.
Okay, but no, that was a small investment. I think, of course, I'm going to date myself, but that was probably 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
And it might have been $100 a month, like it obviously depended where you were, but it was a great affordable way, and I thought effective.
Well, and it lends some credibility to you as a realtor in that case, you know, that you were willing to put that investment in there and to put that into your brand. So it was a good investment.
You know, and as from a marketing perspective, you look at whatever business that you're in, you look at what other people are doing and where they're advertising, and it's kind of like you try a little bit of everything, which is why Edge provides a proven a media platform that provides all of these different media components, so that you can eliminate the trial and error. But going back at that, are there certain businesses that do better with certain types of advertising?
I think there are. I mean, it depends. It really, truly does depend on the business. You know, if they're B2B, if they're B2C, I mean, what are they looking to do? If it's an attraction, it's something where they need to constantly be out there and various revenue or various media out there to get people in the door, especially if you're an attraction and you need to have people coming through the gates all the time. So those, I see them on multiple levels of things. You know, you'll see them on billboards, social media, print, and on tourism things when it's an attraction, let's say. Right. Our other account that might be a paint manufacturer would be a different deal. You know, they might do something with trades, and even the trade publications are changing. We were just having that discussion. I was with the president of that company, and he was saying, do you really think that the magazines are really doing anything? Because I just see them getting smaller and smaller in their industry, in the trades, because it's such a select group. And literally 4 days after we talked, I got the notification from them. They sent this and said that after 27 years, this is our last publication.
Oh my goodness.
But that was very select. You know, this is not that case, by the way, because there's so many things that you can talk about in business, and there's so many business people here in this area. And it's amazing to me the numbers of businesses that I come across. I find that very fascinating.
I don't remember the numbers, but I couldn't believe our printed distribution is concentrated in South Tampa, from south of Cypress, from Ybor to kind of West Shore. And I don't remember the numbers. I don't even want to say, but I mean thousands of businesses, and it's just, and new ones just are forming every day. And I think with kind of the entrepreneurial boom that we're in, and the lack of loyalty in corporations, it's wonderful to see entrepreneurship celebrated, especially growing up in a time when you were an entrepreneur at heart, and we're almost condemned for that. So it's great, goodness, you know, so it's great to see that kind of evolution in time. But anyway, I had a thought.
It's such a wide range of businesses out there too. I mean, you see anything from, we're talking today with someone who makes the lead aprons for X-ray, you know, equipment. They do anything from that to, we talk with people that are like Smashburger that makes hamburgers, and you know, they want to have people come into the store and try their food. So it can be just about anything. And I think that's what makes marketing for us so much fun, is you learn little things about so many different businesses that it keeps it interesting.
Well, and going back real quick before I lose that train of thought, we'd mentioned trade, and you mentioned the magazine. Now, is that kind of in reference to import and export, and then trade to where? Is that why maybe that magazine and those, because of all of the problems with?
I think that particular one was going right after people that have individual hardware stores. And as you know, big box stores are more prevalent.
Gotcha.
And it was after dealerships. So I think that really had a lot to do with that particular publication. Even though they still are there digitally, I just think the whole market is changing in their arena, and that's why that's
well, because there are some trade publications that kind of reference and work on import and export and trade in between countries, and with all of the kind of everything going on in that industry, there's been a lot of change in that too. And I've seen some of the trade publications become much smaller because less people are.
And it depends on the trade too, because if it's electronics or computers or things that we're doing now, you know, with just so many things that are so far out there that I think that there's so much to learn from all the new things that are coming out there that I don't think those are dead. I really don't.
No, and I think everything can be, and even in those kind of industries, I think they can be kind of revitalized.
Right.
And I think they do. Everything kind of, well, even in times, and as you're older, you can kind of reflect back how certain things may change, but then they seem to kind of evolve and come back around.
Yeah.
Boomerang-ish or something, you know, to
kind
where.
of in a cycle, you know.
Well, yeah, maybe that's a better word than a boomerang.
Yeah. Well, you know, you'll see it. I see it with clients we work with. Many times they'll pull a lot of things in-house, and then they'll go through a cycle where they'll hire on the outside. So that kind of comes and goes too. So you'll see that happen too.
You know, that could be a whole nother conversation to have as well, as far as how to build a staff, and that's some of the things I want to touch on a little bit as we talk a little bit more. But so we have plenty more to talk about. We're going to get the edge a lot more with Terri Hall. We're going to learn all about marketing, and we're also going to learn all about Terri. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Thank you so much for joining us for Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you for being with us today. Really excited to talk all about marketing today and advertising, kind of right in the realms of media and what I love, my passion. Joined by Terri Hall. Again, thank you. So happy that you're here. And
Me too.
Yeah. No, I love
being here.
I love talking with you about all this stuff. And you know, I try to make Getting the Edge just a casual environment. You and I sit and talk a lot in regards to a lot of this. So it's just a little different with some cameras, you know, in front of us, but really it's the same. You know, it's just I want to share everything that we talk about and what I've learned from you with all the viewers and everyone watching. It's great. We want to promote our businesses as well. Make sure you subscribe to the latest issue of Edge. But I want everyone to learn. You know,
Yes,
it's just such.
absolutely.
I talk a lot, but I have really learned to be a good listener, and it's been to my benefit as well because I learned so much from other people. And even though something I may not need that information right now, it files away, and then you can you reference it when you need it, and it's just great, valuable information. And most of the time it's free, you know, from other people that you're sitting down with. So utilize it. And I think you almost have to realize that you don't have all the answers. And once you come up with that realization, you become a sponge, and you want to sit and talk with everybody. So again, congratulations on 20 years. I just think that's amazing. 20 years of Doubletake. Wow. Again, congratulations.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to be at almost 6. You know, I can only imagine hitting the 20-year milestone. And so congratulations. Any of your marketing needs that you might need out there, make sure you look up. I'm sure you have your laptop near you. Check out DoubleTakeFL.com.
Yeah, DoubleTakeFL.com.
And find out all about Terri and her team. So we talked a little bit just about how marketing and advertising has changed, and we were talking about billboards, I think, right before our last break. And by the way, since we're talking about marketing, this is a great lead ways into things. I'm sure as you're watching the show, you see some of the commercials that run as we take our pauses. We are looking for new advertisers to have commercials that run during the show, and we'd love to have you participate. So reach out to us at info@edgebusinessmagazine.com. We'd be happy to find out all about your business and see how that might fit. And if you're interested in being a guest on the show, please reach out to us as well. So you have perfect leadways for this show that I'm able to promote all the Edge stuff. But okay, so let's talk about PR and public relations and kind of how that is different from marketing. So if a company, and it's funny, so I asked you a question, but then I keep talking and I ask you more.
That's okay.
If a company is doing, you know, they're handling their social media and they have some advertising campaigns, which is another thing I think that Terri and her team are great at, is coming up with campaigns. But what is the importance then of PR? How is it different from traditional marketing or social media?
I even think traditional public relations has changed somewhat with the advent of social media. So I almost call it social PR, for lack of a better term, because they do cross over a little bit. But a lot of things that we'll do with our clients, especially when we're working with public relations, is be it depending on the type of business. One we have is a health advocacy firm. One of the things we want to do is get them in print, get them in regional areas that they're interested in growing. Get them speaking engagements. Sometimes it's difficult to get a specific speaking engagement. So one time we did create an event and created a panel with our client on the panel and 2 others that were other areas of expertise, all on the same subject, which is healthcare. and almost everybody I know is interested in healthcare, how they can save money on healthcare, resources that they can access, what's happening in the nonprofit arena versus the for-profit arena, and that kind of thing. So events can be created. We've created media events, of which we need to have these guys there, and other things that we can do to get people involved and get the word out. You know, anything that will get some recognition. Maybe your company does things that are to promote a charity or get involved with that. That's something that we can talk about out there and hopefully query or produce a story on that or get one produced. So it's important to do that.
It is, and I'm learning that, and we're almost 6 years in, as I mentioned, and I'm really just now starting to kind of to have that realization. You hear stories on the news and you think, how did they find out about that? Somebody had to have shared that story in order for them to be able to talk about it and promote it the way that they do. Otherwise they wouldn't know that story existed. But one of the things I had mentioned since 2015, since we started the magazine, Edge has donated 6 ads in the magazine, $4,500 in value to local nonprofits and to small businesses that wouldn't otherwise have the money to promote their organizations. And we've done this for years and we've never told anyone. So, but we were talking earlier, it's really hard to toot your own horn, so to speak, or why do I need to tell somebody what I'm doing? I want to do it just because I want to do it.
Right.
So,
well, it's one of those things, like, I think even in our lifetime as women, we're kind of brought up maybe not to talk about ourselves so much because you might be bragging and things like that. And we think of it that way, or I know I did. It's always been hard for me to kind of talk about myself specifically in relation to this. It's easy for me to talk about anybody else's business, much easier than my own. And I'm trying to get better about that as a result of working with Kelly here. I've been in rehab with Kelly now for all of 40 minutes, and hopefully it's working.
We'll get there, Terry. We'll get there.
But I think, and I think sometimes we're kind of brought up that way, and really it's not bragging. You're just trying to put information out there, and I now have learned that sometimes we can do that and actually help other people. So if I put it in the mindset that I'm helping someone else get the word out to let people know about their business or their service, that hopefully we're putting the word out in a good way that puts them in a good light and they'll get business.
Right. It's
whether it's us or someone else.
Right. And so sometimes you don't want it to seem that you're doing something just to have the recognition of it. So I want to do it regardless if anybody knows or not. And but I do see I would like to share the stories. I mean, because maybe it would come to light other nonprofits or businesses that could utilize those opportunities. Whereas if I keep that information to myself, it just as an example with Edge and with our giving back as far as with ads. If maybe by spreading the word of that, then we'll help other businesses.
I love that idea. I think that's a terrific idea.
Well, thank you. Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I would give it all away if I could, but you can't. You've got to have a business to run. But no, it's important. So and I do agree 120%. I mean, it is. I think as women, it's a little harder for us, and maybe it's our generation too.
I think that's part of it. I hate to talk about that age thing.
I know, right? I think we're aging ourselves again.
I know. I think the younger generations coming up are maybe not as much that way. But I hope not. I hope they are better about it.
I think when I was younger, I had the benches. We were just talking about real estate, and I wouldn't have had a bench all over the Tampa Bay area with my photo on it if I wasn't trying to. So maybe it's an age thing too, and maybe it's kind of as we transition in our lives, it's a little harder.
Yeah. Or in my family, I think of it. My family was always big on somebody not being a braggart. So in a way, you feel like you're a braggart, but you're really not trying to be one.
Well, and I think it's different too when it's our business as a woman-owned business versus it being just, we got a new handbag today, and I'm going to brag about how I was able to spend a certain amount of money. That's a little bit different as far as bragging. Our businesses help. They employ people, right? They help other people. So why is it that even as our business, we don't want to verbally, kind of talk in anyway?
Yeah, that's funny you'd say that though, because it was one time I was talking with my boyfriend, and I was saying, sometimes I feel like advertising is such like a selfish business. And he said, that's not at all. You're helping somebody else with their business. You're helping them make their business better. You're helping them get more clients. You're helping them whatever that is. And that's not true at all. And it's funny, so that's why I always wanted to do anything I could when it was work with nonprofit, especially.
Right.
I love working with nonprofit agencies when we can. But I always thought it would be a way to give back too, because you don't want to be selfish.
Right. Well, and I know it's not, you and I are not the only ones that feel that way, and I do know it's not just a woman thing too. There are many men out there that feel the same way, but it's, you know, because as we're doing our kind of a, you know, creating a graphic or design direction, when we're creating ads or if we're creating commercials or whatever we might be creating, we're always looking for direction from the businesses. But many times they hold back on what that actual message should be and all the great accomplishments that they've achieved, because same thing we've talked about, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Like talking about 20 years. I mean, that's, you know, and you being in business that long, that's a great accomplishment.
It's frightening though. Whenever we look through our archives, you'll go, oh my gosh, I forgot I ever even did work for that client. Because sometimes a lot of things changed, or they sold the business. You know, the other things go in different arcs and peaks and valleys when you're working with clients. So some of them sold the business, some of them retired, some are no longer with it, some have stayed with it and grown. I mean, it is interesting. Some of the clients we've had have moved to another company and taken us with them, which I love that when they do that, because it's like getting new business because you already have the rapport with them. So that's really fun. And hopefully when we work with someone, they feel like they're getting value and they keep us. So that's always been, we do have some clients that we've had for more than 15 years, which in this business is pretty unusual. So I am proud of that, because we've sometimes even made it through personnel changes or even director changes and still worked with them. So I'm pleased that we still have been able to hang on to them.
Well, as I was looking for a marketing company to align with Edge, because even though we're media, you still need marketing companies to handle other aspects of the business. And one of the things that, as I was kind of on my search, was looking for someone with a lot of experience in the industry, but though that had a mixture of their team and different kind of personality types. And I know when I met with all of you, and you know, it was great to meet someone with, like I said, the longevity in the business, but then just that you knew that you didn't have all the answers necessarily. We had to. I
definitely don't have all the answers.
Which is, I think, why we get along so well. I mean, but neither one of us do. None of us do. But you surround yourself with a great team and just a lot of great collective minds.
I love our team right now. We've got some really talented people, and that's what's really nice. You know, I'm just thrilled to death to have them there. So. Glad to have them. Right.
Well, and I'm sure they're extremely happy to be a part of the team as well. No, I'm sure they are. Again, for any marketing needs, whether it's PR, traditional marketing, social media, make sure you check out doubletakefl.com for all the information on Terri and her group. So we're going to find out more. Don't go away. We'll be right back with Getting the Edge.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson, and joined by the laughter next to me with Terri Hall, President of Doubletake Marketing. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been fun. Kelly's fun.
It has been a lot of fun. We've learned all about marketing. If you've missed any aspect of the show, please go back and check it out. Rewind and make sure you check it all out. We're really excited to bring to you great stories of a lot of great individuals here on Getting the Edge. And again, this is an opportunity to learn all about you and your business and your industry. And because I'm sure we've all learned a lot on marketing, but it's also a great opportunity to find out kind of what's driven Terri Hall over the years and kind of learn from some of your experiences. So this is my favorite part of the interviews. Did you always know you wanted to own your own business?
You know, I think I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, seriously. I mean, even down to my poor little cousins, making them weave pot holders as fast as their little fingers would go so I could run out and sell them and then make more. And I learned really fast to not sell them to just buy another bag of loops. You had to make money on those loops. So
wow,
it started with that, and then I've constantly, I guess, been in sales. And I think really it's sales, this business is about sales. And I just loved meeting different people. I was, my poor neighbors in our neighborhood probably every time saw me on the front porch were like, what is she selling now?
Oh
It's
my
seeds,
God, I love it.
It's greeting cards, it's Girl Scout cookies, you name it. So I kind of I always felt that way.
That's so funny. Yeah. Well, I think that I was in Girl Scouts too and loved kind of the leadership aspect of it and the cookies. And in fact, my daughter was in her. In fact, a neighbor, a friend of mine, we couldn't find a local troop we wanted, so we started our own. But just to instill those values in the young girls, it's just anyway, great. Okay, now where did you grow up originally?
I grew up in Newcomerstown, Ohio.
Okay, fellow Midwesterner.
Yes,
that's probably another reason we get along so well.
And Ohio is a beautiful place to grow up, and I had a wonderful set of friends in high school and everything. I ended up coming my last 2 years down here to USF and graduated from USF in Tampa. At the time, it was the largest college near my grandparents' home over in Largo, so I wanted someplace close to my grandparents because that's the one that I knew at that time.
Right.
So I graduated from USF in mass communications and advertising.
Very nice.
So I originally came here with the intention of being in fine art, and then started thinking about what was I going to do with a fine art degree. I wasn't really sure I could be a teacher, and wasn't sure I wanted to starve. Right. So went to the career counselor, and we came up with advertising because you could still incorporate art and be able to make a living at it. So that's how changed into that, segued into advertising.
That's great. I wish I'd have thought that way in school. I was like political science. So for me, it was always all or nothing. Like I was so into the law and I was so set on being an attorney. And that's back in the day when I thought I knew everything. I think that's why I appreciate so much now being able to realize that I don't. But anyway,
I definitely know I don't. But yeah,
it makes you cringe sometimes. The fact that you went to school and did all this for years, and then you aren't doing anything with any of that. Anyway. But anyway, so that's great that you recognize that early on, and then were able to get your degree.
I was probably looking for some kind of direction, but they give you those interest survey tests, and it came out number 1 parole officer and 2nd interior designer. So, and did that in high school. It happened twice in a 4-year period. It was very odd. So.
That's so funny. What tips can you share with us on? We've talked a little bit throughout the show on having such a great team and that diverse kind of team that you have. What are some tips that you can give to us on developing great teams?
Hiring? I don't know. I always like to kind of keep a happy workplace environment, but after working and these agencies are no longer around, but I started out in a couple of ad agencies around here, and both of them seem to have cash flow issues, and I can literally remember running to the bank with my coworkers, and my coworker in front of me was able to cash their check and I wasn't, wow. And it was a constant battle on things like that. So at that point, one of our clients hired me away as their internal PR marketing person. And they were doing really well in the electronics area, and then they ended up going downhill and having cash flow issues. And that's when I said, okay, I can depend on myself better. And anybody that ever works for me will never have to worry whether they get a paycheck or not, because that was something that, it weighs on your mind. It definitely changes your work performance, your attitude, if you feel like you're giving it your all and then you can't get your check. So that was one of my main big sticking points. So I never liked to commit to someone unless I felt I could have the cash there to do it. So that was the main one for me, I guess, because I lived through that. That was a big one for me. So
one of the and you've been in the business a lot longer, but I talked to different business owners that maybe are earlier in their businesses, and they kind of joke that things might be good, but they're like they still cringe payroll date when payroll date's coming around. I feel like that. I can imagine that it's because you have that kind of that passion with making sure your team is taken care of. That must weigh on you even more than maybe your typical. Maybe that doesn't have that main focus. I don't know.
No, it does, because you just want to be fair to people. You want them to put their heart into their work, and so that we ultimately end up with a good product, and you want them to get compensated for it.
Oh, absolutely.
I wish I was a godzillionaire and I'd pay my people a lot more. I really would.
Well, it kind of goes back to me wanting to give everything away and do everything. I mean, I think when I don't know, must be something too about Midwesterners, and not to say Eastern people from and all the different, but there's something about Midwesterners. I kind
of like that.
Many of us just have that mentality of we'd give away the farm if we could. But anyway.
Yes, I have a tendency to do that on occasion. I get yelled at for that.
When you look back over the years, what is the best advice that you've ever been given? Is there something someone said to you once that just stuck?
Well, I guess the one thing that I wish I had changed if I were to do it over again would be more cognizant of my numbers and a better laid out plan. I'm doing that now, but there's a time where I just had lots of business coming in. We kept doing it, things kept going, and I wish I had been more strategic.
Okay.
So I think be more strategic when you start your business about where you want to go and where you want it to be. It doesn't mean you always will get there immediately, but having a plan. And I learned through all of this that I'm definitely not a linear thinker. So, I'm all over the place, but that sort of helps on the creative side, but not so much on the planning side. So get people in place that are good at that will help you and guide you along that way. And that definitely has been very helpful for me.
Yeah. It's, again, one of the questions I ask is it, do you focus more so on your strengths or your weaknesses?
That's a good one. I guess with me, right now I've been focusing more on the weaknesses, and that's been helping, and I just think, again, I've learned that, what is it, plan to fail, or, failing to plan is a plan to fail, that kind of thing. I'm learning how important it truly is to do that. Right. So.
What if you could go back? Yeah, that was great. Okay, and you might have covered this when you talked about the plan, but if you could go back in time 20 years, even prior to starting Doubletake, so we'll go 25, what advice would you give your younger self?
My younger self, probably make sure I'm more capitalized. I did work a second job to get capital to be able to start.
Okay.
And I was able to take advantage. So take advantage of your network of people that you know. And I usually have not learned to do that. I have a nice network of people that I know, but I haven't capitalized on it like I could have.
Right.
So make sure you stay out in the community and stay active and do the best you can with the network that you have and continue to grow that way.
Right. That's great advice.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. No, it's great advice. What is your current, and this changes as the years and it's different for everybody, what is your definition of success?
Getting a paycheck? No. No. I guess with me, I really want to see my business become a legacy and become something for someone else, not just me. This business isn't me. I can't do it alone.
Right.
You know, and your team is the important part. And I want everyone to be able to be successful with it and grow beyond that and be able to accomplish their goals too, as well. So to me, that would be success, seeing others succeed as a result of my business.
Right.
Beginnings, anyway.
Right. Do you have a favorite quote?
You know, I did at one time, but I can't think of it now. And it was a Benjamin Franklin one too, and I really liked it. Not the whole early to bed, early to rise thing.
I mess up all the quotes. In fact, we were talking about adaptable to change, and there's a quote that I love. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, what's the quote? What's the quote? And who's the guy that said it? You know, and I'm like, oh, Kelly, don't go there because you're not even going to be out. You're going to mess it up. That's so funny. What might people be surprised to know about Terri Hall?
I used to have a llama, and his name was Tony. I used to like, well, I do love animals, but I used to have a lot of animals, and it took a lot of energy and time, but I also did have a llama, and he couldn't be alone, so I had to get miniature horses to keep him company, and before you know it, I had a little menagerie.
Okay, so this was when? Yeah, did you live on a farm? Like, where did you have a llama?
At that point I lived in Brooksville, so I lived there, up in that area, and then ended up moving to Ruston. And yes, and so, yes, Tony.
They spit. That's the only thing I know about llamas is you're not supposed to get too
Only if they're really, really stressed. Oh. You know, they're a cousin to the camel. They're a camelid.
Oh,
you know,
interesting.
And, yeah, it was interesting because, you know, whenever they get ill or something like that, there's not a lot of people that know how to work on a llama. I found that out. I had to go to Gainesville.
What do you do to quiet your mind?
You know, I think I watch repeated murder mysteries on Netflix in British. You know,
is that right?
British murder mysteries. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but you know, that's sort of my thing.
Does that mean they're in a different language?
No, they're just, well, they just have British things,
captions?
You know. No captions or anything like that. It's just, you know, just different things, you know. When somebody's crazy, they call them a nutter, and, you know, just different words, you know, just, I don't know, I find that funny.
You know, one show that I've liked and I've tried to watch is The Bodyguard, that's on Netflix, and it's with the guy, he actually played in Game of Thrones. Oh goodness, and I'm trying to remember, he was beheaded, I think, actually, earlier in a couple of the seasons. But anyway, the accents are so thick in the show that I had a really tough time. And I saw something else, somebody else was talking about it, and they were like, I had a really tough time with it. So it wasn't just me, but sometimes some of those accents can be...
you really have to pay attention, it's true.
It was really strong. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And it's great to have you here. And doubletakefl.com, right?
Yeah.
Check out the website if you're in need, or just really even when some questions on marketing, reach out to Terri. And yes, make sure you go on. I appreciate that. And check out Terri's article in the latest issue. And make sure you subscribe. And anyway, reach out, edgebusinessmagazine.com. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Terri. It was so fun.